Walnuts occupy an interesting position among immune-supporting foods because they provide multiple beneficial compounds working through different mechanisms. The amino acids glutamine and arginine, omega-3 fatty acids in the form of ALA, vitamin E, and polyphenol. This combination makes them genuinely valuable despite not being as dramatic or exotic as some other foods discussed. The explanation that glutamine serves as primary fuel for rapidly dividing immune cells and intestinal cells is accurate and important. During illness or stress, glutamine demand increases, and inadequate availability can impair immune cell function. Arginine supporting T-cell proliferation and nitric oxide production with antimicrobial effects represents another distinct pathway of immune support. The omega-3 ALA in walnuts requires some clarification. ALA must be converted to EPA and DHA for many of its anti-inflammatory effects, and this conversion is quite inefficient in humans, typically less than 10%. This doesn't make walnuts worthless as an omega-3 source, but it does mean that walnuts can't fully replace fatty fish for omega-3 intake. For vegetarians and vegans, walnuts are one of the better plant-based omega-3 sources, but expectations should be realistic. The recommendation to consume 1 to 1.5 ounces daily, about 14 walnut halves, is specific and achievable. The practical suggestions for consumption, as snacks, in oatmeal or yogurt, in salads, walnut-based pesto, or walnut butter, make regular inclusion realistic. The tip about soaking walnuts overnight to improve digestibility and potentially increase nutrient availability is interesting, though the evidence for dramatic benefits is limited. Some people do find soaked nuts easier to digest, and soaking can reduce phytic acid content, which may improve mineral absorption. However, this step isn't essential if it creates a barrier to consumption. The warning to store walnuts in the refrigerator or freezer to prevent rancidity is genuinely important. The polyunsaturated fats in walnuts are susceptible to oxidation, and rancid nuts not only taste unpleasant but can actually contribute to oxidative stress rather than providing antioxidant benefits. This is the kind of practical detail that significantly impacts whether a food provides its intended benefits. The preference for raw or dry-roasted walnuts over heavily processed varieties makes sense. Added oils, salt, and sugar don't enhance the immune-supporting properties and may detract from overall dietary quality. The combination of omega-3s, vitamin E, and amino acids is what makes walnuts particularly valuable during illness, when both protein and anti-inflammatory compounds are needed. However, we should be realistic. The amounts of these compounds in a typical serving, while beneficial, aren't therapeutic levels. They contribute to overall nutrient intake as part of a varied diet. The suggestion to pair walnuts with vitamin C-rich fruits creates balanced immune-supporting snacks is practical, though the claimed synergy is somewhat general rather than a specific biochemical interaction. One important consideration: walnuts are calorie-dense. A 1-ounce serving contains about 185 calories, mostly from fat. While these are healthy fats, portion control matters for people managing calorie intake. The specified 1 to 1.5 ounces daily is appropriate. More isn't necessarily better. Nut allergies are a significant concern not mentioned in the basic recommendations. For people with tree nut allergies, walnuts are obviously off the table, and alternative sources of these nutrients are needed. The mention of prebiotic fiber in walnuts feeding beneficial gut bacteria is accurate. Walnuts contain fiber and polyphenol that support gut microbiome health, representing yet another pathway for immune support beyond the direct effects of their nutrients. For vegetarians and vegans, walnuts are particularly valuable because they provide nutrients that may be harder to obtain from plant sources, particularly omega-3s and certain amino acids. However, they work best as part of a comprehensive protein strategy rather than as a sole source.